Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video we are going to develop a web app to track your expenses and revenues for your startup or business, whatever it is. You can also use this for tracking your personal expenses as well. Right, so it has two pages. One is dashboard and the other one is for add is nothing but a form where you can add the expense or revenue to your web app. So the first one, dashboard, you can make charts and also profit and loss table, and grand total is nothing but net income or net loss. And if you go to the next page, so you can see there is a revenue split, expenses split, and payment currency, and also the complete transaction table. Right, also it has filters where you can select or filter the data based on month or category. Right, so if I go to add page, so it will take me to the form where I can add the transaction date. For example, if the transaction date is today, let's keep the game development, and if the amount is $1,000 for example, and for conversion, so I am from India, so I need a conversion rate, because whatever payment I make, whatever payment currency I use, I'll have to report everything in Indian rupees. So that is why I added a conversion. So if you are not from United States, or if you are using different currency, or if you have a local currency other than United States, maybe the conversion rate will be useful for you. If you are from United States, you can simply make the conversion rate as 1, or you can simply remove it. Okay, so details, I'll write it as payment for game development. So when I submit it, so it resets the form, and an entry is added at the bottom of the screen. See that? So it comes under expenses, category is cost of goods sold, game development, payment for game development, which is $1,000, and after conversion it's 75 Indian rupees. So if I go back to the dashboard, maybe I think the refresh rate is around 10 minutes, so it might take some time to get the entry to be populated. So this dashboard is built using Data Studio. Okay, you can see the Data Studio logo at the bottom, right? So we'll look at how to use Data Studio, and if you are not aware of Data Studio, that's not a problem. You don't need any experience before watching this video. And also the web page we are going to build, we are using Google Apps script, and the backend we are using Google Sheets as a backend database. So we could have used Firebase or MongoDB, but I want to make it cost effective application, so I'm already using this application for my purpose, so for my startup. So this is sufficient for me. We can also build invoiced forms. We can add more features if required, but for me this is sufficient. And in future, if based on your requirement, maybe if you want to have a invoice form or invoice setup, inventory management, etc., we can work on that as well. Alright, so let's get started then. So I'll create a new script project. So for that I will go to script.google.com. so I'll create a new project. So I'll name it as financial statements YT, which is for YouTube. Okay, so we can render the HTML page. So for that, let's look at the HTML service provided by AppScript. So if I go to the HTML service, if I click on create and serve HTML, we can find this code. Let's copy this one, paste it here. Okay, so what does it? So when you run this application, it first runs the function do get, and it will return the HTML file called index. Okay, let's create index first. I'll call it as index. I'm sorry. Okay, index. So it's case sensitive, so it should be small I. Let's save it. So in body, I will call it as dashboard is coming. So just to see how it works. So we can deploy this app. Before testing it, we should deploy this tab. There are two options, manage and test deploy. So once you deploy the first application, then you can launch a test version. So first we will have to select web app. So I'll call it as initial build. So who can access? Anyone with Google account. Even though you provide access to anyone with Google account, you will have to share the web app with people, otherwise it doesn't work for them. Okay, so updating that all of let's click on this link. This one. Okay, you see that? So dashboard is coming. So let's use the test deployment. So whenever we make changes, you can simply refresh the page and see all the changes. Alright, so here dashboard is coming, so let's keep it that way. So first let's build the form. So if I go to the add, you can see the form here, right? First let's build this form and link it to the sheet. Once we add the sheet data to the sheet, then we can build the charts and tables using Data Studio and link it to the website. Okay, so first we would require add page. Oh, 1 second. Not GS file, it should be HTML. Okay. Form is coming, right? So now I created a add page, but here we don't see anything as of now because we will have to build a navigation and a route as well. So custom link, we have to add it. So for that I will go to code GS. So here I will add one more few lines of code. So I'll say if in doGet, let's mention as request, if request dot parameters dot page. So page will be the parameter. So I'll explain it to you what does it mean. So it should be in if condition, and this should be request dot parameters of page. Okay, so and also we'll need to add one more thing. So if I go to best practices, dot evaluate. Okay, so what happens is now we have the home page, default is the index page. So if I want to go to the add page, one second. Okay, So syntax error. Okay, let's refresh it again. Well, it is not a function. 1 second. Let's copy this one. Simply let's paste it here. So this should be index. Okay, let's refresh it now. There you go. So this is the home page. So if I add a parameter, so it starts with question mark and page equal to add. You see that? So form is coming. So now we'll work on this page now. So before that, I would like to build a navigation header, and once we link both the sheets or both the pages, then we can work on the form. Okay, so in add, so create a header. So I'll call this one as form. So header, I would like to have a header wrapper. Sometimes I forget what the words. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is the header, right? So here I would like to add a list, and in the list I would like to have two elements. One is dashboard and the other one is add, right? Let's see how it looks like now. Okay, you see that? So we don't need these two list bullet points. We can remove that, and dashboard and add should be side by side, and on the right hand side we can have the financial statements or whatever web page name you want to have. Okay, so for styling we are going to use Tailwind CSS. So even in my previous video I used Tailwind CSS, but there I was using React.js, but here we are using app script. So we could also build a website using React.js with backend as Google Sheet, but I found an app script is much convenient because it has all the Google components, so we just need to link them. Where is it? Yeah, this is the one. So let's copy this one, paste it in head. Okay, so here add a class called flex of row, and I will add a gap of 7 between these two objects. Okay, dashboard add form is coming, class flex. Okay, oh God, this should be added here. Okay, now we have to see, we should see, yeah, dashboard and add are side by side, so this is good. So here I would like to add a padding of 2, and background I want to have it as indigo 500, and text I want to have it as indigo of 50. So these are Tailwind grid color grids. You can always go to Tailwind and you can search for the colors or whatever you're looking for. Okay, so these are different colors. See, if I go to background color, you will see different colors. So we are using indigo 500, so this is the one. Okay, we are going to use this color, and indigo 50 will make the text light. Okay, so also I want to add one more thing. So the header of the web page. Okay, now we can see the header with indigo and dashboard add. These two are the navigation items, and financial statement, it should be on the right hand side. So for that we can simply add justify between. So these two items will be separated now, dashboard add and financial statement. You see that? Simple, it's very easy to do it. And also let's add a padding on x-axis of 7. Okay, now looks good. Also let's add font of semi bold. So let's make the font semi bold. Okay, good. Now it is looking good. So if I go to the home page, we don't have the header. So let me check if the video is recording. Okay, great. Sometimes I have to check whether it is recording or not, because of my system is very old, so I have to check sometimes. Okay, so it doesn't have a header. So what we can do, we can simply copy this one and paste it in index under bottom, just like we did for add, but instead of that I want to create it as a component. So if I add a HTML file as header, so here I will paste the header. Okay, again we'll have to add Tailwind CSS, so we'll have to link this one in the head. Okay, done. So as this part is done, we just need to replace this these lines of code with the header component, so that we have one more option. So instead of doing manually everything, we can simply add the component. So we have a function called include. So whatever file name we provide in the include, so it will run the code and simply render that part of function or HTML program in the part wherever you include it. So here it's header, so we are going to remove it and call the component header in this part, so that it works exactly the same and it will apply it to the dashboard and all the pages where you add it. Okay, so in code GS we'll paste this one. Okay, so if I go to HTML service, and so this is how we have to include it. So in index, so this will be header. So include header. So header is the HTML file. This is dashboard. Okay, now let's refresh it. You see that? Simple, right? So let's copy this code and paste it at the end. Right? So it's done now. So if I refresh the page, you see the header with navigation in home page. Now you should able to see it in the form page. Cool, right? This is done. So now I want to add the URLs, so that when I click on the dashboard or add, it should navigate me to the respective pages. Okay, so for that we can use a service called script app dot get service dot get to URL. Sometimes it doesn't work, I don't know why. So at the beginning, I mean a long time back I used to use app script, but recently I mean these days I'm using React.js, but before that I used to build applications on app.js. So at that time it used to work, but I found that it's a known issue, but there is no fix for it as of now, but maybe in future we might find a fix. But temporarily I would like to create short links and link it to the web app. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. One second, rebrandly.ly, yeah, this is the one. So let's log in. I'll log in with my Google account. Okay, so here I will create a new link. For now let's use the development links. Later on we can change it to the production links. So the problem with the production links is that the ID will be changing whenever you deploy a new production, new version, but the development pages, the links are the same. Okay, so that is the issue. Otherwise we would have directly linked the the actual link. We don't need to apply any short links, but that's not the case. Okay, so I'll name it as FSYT home. Okay, copy this one, go back to the web app, and here, so okay, this is, so we are hyperlinking, so href, just paste this one. Similarly we'll have to do the same for the next one, right? Okay, so this is the okay, so this is for, so this is not home. Let me edit. Okay, here it is. YT add. Okay, so this is FSYT add, and this one will be FSYT home. So I'll create a new link, copy this one, so yeah, this is the one, paste it here. So it is FSYT home. Okay, create link and copy this one. Okay, we already added it. Okay, now this should work. If I refresh the page, now the navigation, you can see the cursor has changed to a pointer. So if I click on dashboard, right, it is taking me to the dashboard, and if I click on add, it is taking me to add. Cool, right? Okay, so I'll close this one, we don't need it as of now. Okay, so the header is done. So let's quickly work on the form. So form, first we would require, so for every item let's put them into a wrapper. So label, the first one is date. Okay, so we would require an input. ID will be transaction date. and name would be transaction date again, and so type is date, right? Date time local, let's make it as date time local. Okay, right, now let's refresh it. Okay, you see this, right? Date, and you have the date picker, date along with the time. Good. So let's format the form as well. So let's make it full width and flex of column. Let's have a gap of 7 between each item. Let's put it at center, justify center. Okay, we'll need to add item center. Okay, let's remove justify center, item center. Okay, now you can see it is in the center, and also let's add a padding of 10. Okay, now it is looking much better. Let's quickly add the other components. So the next one would be what is the next one? So category. So the next one is cat. Let me copy paste. Okay, and here we are going to provide a drop down, and the drop down will be a list from this Google Sheet. So as of now we did not link anything, so let's keep it empty. And the next one will be again we drop down with an input. So the next one is amount, and you do need a drop down to selecting or to select the currency, and you'll have to enter the amount, right? So for that, let's add a label of amount, and this one will be select. And the next one will be input, ID is amount. So let's add a name. So we would require name. So based on name, the form, when we submit it, it will post the data to the Google Sheet. So type is number, and step will be any. Okay, so step is will allow you to create add numbers with decimals. So amount is done. So next is conversion rate. Input, which is type is number, again step any. So conversion value, sometimes it might be in decimals as well, so that is why step would be any, and ID will be conversion, and name will also be conversion. Okay, so let's refresh and see how it looks like. So we have date, category, amount, conversion. Alright, so drop down, it's empty as of now. We'll link the Google Sheet. Okay, so now next one is invoice. So don't worry about the styling as of now, we'll work on the styling. So let's simply copy paste this one. Why do we need to type everything? Okay, so this will be invoice number, and this type is text. Sometimes invoice could be combination of numbers and letters. Step, we don't need this one, and this one we will name it as invoice. And so the next one will be details. So this one is details, and instead of input we'll need text area. So ID will be details, and name will be again details. Okay, done. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, and the project is saved now. Okay, so we got all the objects or all the elements. So now we need to work on the formatting. So date, category, I want them in one row. Amount, conversion, invoice, I want them in the second row, and details would be in the third row. And also I would like to add some coloring to the input boxes, otherwise it's difficult to identify. Okay, so the first one, date, so I'll club both of them into one wrapper. So let's add a class of flex of row. So actually we don't need to add flex of row, it will take it by default. So on web pages flex will default be row, but on mobile if you are using React native, the flex will default be column. Okay, so flex row, let's add a gap of 7, and I want the background. Okay, not here. Let me first refresh and see how it looks like. Okay, both are on the same row. So let's do the same for the rest of the objects. So we need to club amount, conversion rate, and invoice into one row, and details, I want details on the top and its input box on the bottom. So even here I need to add a class, flex of row, and gap of 7. Okay, so amount, conversion rate, invoice, category, and details. So details will have, I should have it at the bottom. Let me wait. Okay, this should be flex column. Okay, so details, this box will be at the bottom if I refresh it. Okay, you see that? Okay, now let's add some coloring. So in the input I will create a class background indigo 100, and text would be indigo. Okay, let's leave this way. Okay, I'm adding the same class for all the inputs. Okay, now it is looking much better, right? So I will make it rounded. So instead of sharp rectangle, we'll get some rounded look. Rounded. Okay. Okay, now it is looking much better, right? Everything is rounded. I think amount we missed for amount. Yeah. Okay, so here one second, sorry. Okay, so here I don't want any gap between these two items, the drop down on the input. So for that, so here we need to club these two into one wrapper, and class would be flex and gap would be 0. Okay, and on the top, so we'll need to add flex of row. Okay, cool, right? So for each item, let's reduce the size of the width. So we don't need the width of too much, and I feel the width is too much. So for every input, let's have the width as 32. Okay, for conversion rate 32, for invoice also 32. Okay, so I think it is better we have everything on the from left to right. So if I remove item center, okay, so I'll add a padding of 20. I'll reduce the width of the form, so let's make it 3/4. Okay, we need one more top class. So we'll keep the width as full and flex of column and items center. Okay, this is much better. So instead of 3/4, let's have the width to half of the screen. Okay, let's make it 3/5. So we just need to keep on adjusting the styling to achieve the desired style. Flex of row, items center. Let's apply the same class to all of the objects. So I'll explain it to you again what I'm doing, like a recap. Okay, now you must have understood. So the amount, it's on the top column, I mean it's above the input box. Now we made it equal to the input box, so simply we made a flex box and converted it into row, and we simply added item center, which makes it to be at the center, or these to be aligned at the center. Okay, let's do the same for conversion invoice as well. So simply copy the class, paste it here. So flex row, item center. So let's refresh it. Okay, so the width is not sufficient. Let's reduce the width to, let me check once. So width, sometimes I forget what kind of lengths we have, classes we have in the width. So 24, we have 24. Let's add 24. Even for this one, let's add 24. Okay, this is looking much better, right? And we don't have any gap between the text and the input boxes. Let's add some gap. So for the first one, let's add a gap of 2. So let's see if it is looking good, then we can add the same gap for the rest of the inputs. Yeah, this is looking good. So let's add, simply copy paste. Let's add a gap of 2. Okay, we have added a gap of 2 for all the items. Okay, this is looking much better, right? Again, conversion rate and invoice, I think we'll need to reduce the width of them again, or maybe we can reduce the width of amount. Okay, let's keep the width of amount same. Okay, cool, right? So when I click on input boxes, it is getting highlighted. I don't want it to be highlighted. So instead, let's remove that. Okay, so I want to remove this one. So focus, I think it should be focus none. Okay, let's paste it here. So focused outline is none. So if it is working, then we can apply it for the rest of the items. You see that? Okay, it's fine, it's working. So I'll apply the same for the other items. Yeah, where is the other items? Okay, so if you want to have a different focus, you can also work on that. So just need to add focus ring of 2, and you can also add color, border transparent or focus ring purple 600. You see that if I click here, it is applying focus ring purple, right? You can do that as well, but for I don't want this to be focused, I don't want any border, so I have removed it. So if you want to add it, you can add it, that's not a problem. Okay, so see that, cool, right? Okay, so in details or any other item, so it is the cursor or the it is pointing at the starting of the input box, so I don't want that. So instead I would like to add a padding of 2, so it will be just not very near to the left hand side, so it will just leave some gap. So I'll do the same for the rest of the objects. So for all the input boxes, let's add a padding of 2. Cool, right? Done. So now we have created the form. Okay, I forgot to add the submit and reset buttons. Let's add them as well. So it should be button, or instead of button you can also add input, but button, type of submit, ID will be submit, okay, so submit will be the name of it. So I want the color of the button to be indigo 500 and text of the color of the text to be indigo 50. So just like we did for the header. Okay, you see that we got the submit button. Let's make it 700. Let's add padding of 2 and make it rounded. Okay, simply copy paste the same thing here. So instead of submit, it will be reset. So let's make it class flex of row, items center, and gap of 7. Cool, right? Okay, so reset and submit have their own functions. So if I add anything, so when it should accept decimals. If I click on reset, it should reset. Cool, right? So submit buttons, let's add only X padding, and let's make the font as semi bold. So reset is working fine. Okay, done. Now it is semi bold. All right, so if I submit anything, so if I submit, it should ask for all these details, but if I submit it, the form is getting submitted, so it is not validating for form. So we can validate the form simply by adding required. Okay, we need all of the items, right? So select required, input required, okay. So let's try it out again. So if I try to submit it, it should ask me for validation. Okay, so please fill this field. Okay, so if I submit again, please fill this item. So it doesn't work because we do not have anything in the category. So likewise, it will validate all the items, and if anything is missing, it will show this notification, please select an item in the list. Cool, right? So everything is working fine. So the form is ready now. I mean, not exactly ready, so we'll need to link a sheet. So I'll go to sheets, create a new sheet. Let's name it in the same way. Okay, financial statements YT. Okay, so first sheet we'll call it as transactions. Okay, let's simply copy paste all the required items from this page, this sheet. Okay, so why do we need to again add them manually? So we would require ID, timestamp, email. So email will be the person who is submitting the form, transaction date, category type, category name, details, currency, amount, conversion value, amount in Indian rupees, and if you want to have it in your country or local value, you can change that. So amount ABS is absolute value of currency. So for all the expenses, we are going to add them in the negative values. So if it is an expense, you will going to add it in negative values, or if it is a revenue, you are going to add it a positive value. Okay, so after that, it is going to convert all the so column M, amount ABS, it will convert the negative value into the positive value, and same with the amount ABS in INR. So if the amount is in negative, then it will convert to the positive values. Okay, so the rest of the fields we don't need, so let's delete them. 1 second. Okay, so formatting is very important. So this is transaction date. Let me increase the size of it. Come on. Okay, fine. So I'll tell you why we need absolute values, because so these are for the graphs and charts. So if you add negative values, we will not be able to make pie charts. and also the area chart comparative between revenues and expenses. So it will show a inverted chart, so better to have absolute values, and we would require the negative values for calculating the profit and loss. Okay, so this is ready. So we would require one more sheet called categories. Again, let's copy paste from here. Okay, okay, cool. So it has, so the drop down will give you the all these items in column A, and based on that the sheet will will do VLOOKUP and categorize all the items, and again recategorize all the items to expenses and income. Okay, so this is one thing, and we would require one more item for currencies. Let's copy paste. Formatting, very important. Okay, cool, right? So this is done. So our form is going to pick the currency from the currency sheet, and it's going to pick the category from the category sheet, and once we submit the form, the items will be added here. Simple, right? Yeah, it's actually very simple to implement it. It's just that need to follow everything carefully. So once you know how to do it, next time you will be building a lot of applications by yourself. Alright, so let's go to code.js. I'll add a variable called sheet URL. Okay, the sheet URL will be this one. Okay, so first we would require the categories, right? So I will wait, let me make it let. Okay, so here let's call it as categories. I forgot the spelling. Actually, you can create a script from here itself. If you go to the sheet, if you click on script editor, it will open a new script for you, and you can the sheet and script editor, the web app will be linked automatically, so we don't need to add sheet URL etc. But it's just one line of code. But if you want to edit or link some other web app with the same code, then or with the same same web app but different sheet, then it is better we have it to create them separately and link with the sheet. Okay, so we have a service provided by Google called SpreadsheetApp dot get by URL or something. One second. So I keep on forgetting, so always refer the manuals. Yeah, open by URL. Okay, open by URL, and the sheet would be sheet URL, so which we already declared on the top. So now okay, so this should be sheet. Okay, so sheet URL, we provided the link, and the sheet we would like to open will be SpreadsheetApp dot open by URL of sheet URL. So if you see this one, this is how we open the sheet. Okay, so categories, now let's add categories. So get sheet by name, so there is something called by name. Okay, right, this is the one. Sometimes I don't find it in the same sheet, but they'll provide it in different applications and different pages, not sure why. Get sheet by name, yeah, this one. Okay, okay, both are not the same. They could have provided the same everything in the same page, it would be easy for us. So what this will do is, so we'll simply add sheet dot get sheet by name, and the sheet name is categories, right? So what we are doing is, so we'll first declare what is the sheet URL. Okay, and using the spreadsheet app, and we will open the link by URL, which is the sheet URL, and we'll need to identify the categories. So this one, so this is, so we'll pick the category sheet by name, so which is this one, and now we'll have to get, so we'll have to get all the categories of column A. Okay, so let's do that. So categories items, I'll call it as categories items. So categories dot get range of A to A dot get values. Okay, let's test it out. Function test, I will call it as function test, and console log of category items. Okay, so category items is, so first we pick the sheet URL and we pick the sheet by URL, then we declared we pick the category sheet, and in category sheet we pick the column A from A to till the bottom, right? I hope it's not too confusing. So now we added a function text to test it. So if I run it, it should get, okay, it will ask you to sign in first. Okay, so this app is not verified, so that's fine. Hello. Okay, you see that we received all the items from game development to other income. Actually, we should add, we should pick the last row and you know, add the columns, and that is a different method. So I did not pick the last row because I deleted all the blanks at the bottom, so it's much easier, right? Otherwise, if you want to keep the list, I don't want to delete any blanks, then you will have to add last row. We'll have to pick the last row. So if I search for last row, okay, see that, so you'll have to first pick the last row, and then you'll get the range from top to bottom, but that's okay, it would be confusing for you. So simply just delete all the blanks at the bottom, and you can just pick the categories dot range from A to 2A. That's it, simple. So it is working now. So let's add a categories name to the drop down list. So this should be added to which one? Yeah, category, right? So here what I will do, so we'll need to add a loop which is for loop, and declare a variable I of 0, and I is less than, what is the name of it, categories dot length I plus plus. Okay, okay, so each line will have to open and close the braces, and here, so we'll add the options. So these are the drop down options. So here we are going to add categories, okay, categories items, category items, the array of I, and let's add the item for each option as well. So ID would be the same thing, and here let's close this one. Okay, so if you want to add a script, so you'll have to use the braces, less than symbol, question mark, and then again you'll have to close it in the similar way. And so again, option is a HTML part, and again calling categories items, it's a script again. So I use the question mark and greater than or less than symbols, and you'll have to add equal to, because it has to pick the value. And similarly for every option, so we need to get the items from the array. So categories items, so from I 0, so it starts from 0 to the last, right? And you'll have to again close the for loop with the closed braces, but you'll have to use the script element. Okay, so we saved it. Now if I refresh it, I should get all the categories in the drop down. Hopefully it works. Okay, you see that. So from game development to other income, we received everything. So if I click on submit, so it will ask me to fill the first field, selected it. Okay, so if I click on submit, so it is asking me to add the amount. First we'll need to pick the currencies from this one, this sheet. So we're going to do the same thing now. So this is categories. All right, and this one will be currencies. Currencies items, so we'll pick the sheet by name, which is currencies, and again this will be currencies, get range of A2 to A, get values. So again same thing, from A2 till the bottom it will pick up the values, and let's simply copy paste what we did for categories. So let's copy for the select item, let's replace it with this one with the amount. So instead of category items, it will be currencies items. Okay, again let's refresh the form. Okay, you see that? Cool, right? What is this one? Okay, let's do one thing, let's remove this one. Let's reduce the width of amount as well. I don't like it to be extending. Amount, yeah, width should be 32. Okay, we already added it here. So width, let's make it 28. I hope we have 28. Let's go to Tailwind CSS. So these are very difficult to remember, so it is better we always refer the, yeah, we have 28. Refer the, what you say, the manuals or the documentation. Okay, so let's reduce the size of the currency input. So select, it should be not 28, it should be 20, or let's see 16. Let's keep it 16. Okay, no, not okay. This should be 14, 12. Okay, we just need to try out as many stylings as possible so that we can keep the form looking good. Cool. Okay, so this is done. So if I try to submit again, so it will ask me to fill the fields. Okay, I'll select this one. Okay, so game development, and it will ask me to fill this item. So let's make it 2500. Again, if I try to submit, it will ask for conversion rate, maybe 75. Invoice, it is asking for details, test. So if I submit it, it is getting submitted, but now we'll have to get the items here in the form, in the sheet, and I don't want the form to be refreshed. Okay, so invoice, let's make invoice optional. So because sometimes we might not have the invoice, so let's remove required. Instead of required, let's add a placeholder, and I'll say it is an optional. Okay, it says optional. Okay, fine. So now the next objective is, I don't want the form to be refreshed and items to be submitted to the sheet. So for that I will have to add a script to prevent the form submission, let's write a function. I'll call it as prevent form submission. So let's declare a variable called forms. So we will have to identify the number of forms we have in the application. So as of now it's only one, but in future if you want to build few more forms for invoice and etc., so this function will help, will be useful for all of them. So here forms is equal to document dot query selector all, so it picks all the forms, and now we'll have to loop them. So for variable I equal to 0, and if I length is less than forms dot length, and how to make it I plus plus. So forms of I dot add event listener, so the event listener is submission, so it will look for the submission event, and when you click on submit, it will prevent you to not doing it and not refreshing the form. So again we'll have to create a function called event. So event dot prevent default, so the default is refreshing, right, form getting refreshed, so it will prevent it. So this function need to be called at the beginning of the page, right? So when you open the web app, this function should be called. So for that you need to use Windows add event listener. So when it loads, call prevent form the submission. Okay, so if I refresh the sheet web app, so if I submit, it should not refresh. Okay, so it's not reloading, right? So it is working fine. So what I want to do, when I submit it, I want all the details to be added to the sheet. Okay, and then I want all of the form to be reset. Okay, in form I will create one more event. So on submit equal to here we'll have to add a form, and let's give a name of the form, transaction form. So on submit I want to call a function, so I'll add a function here. Excuse me. So the function will be what shall I write it? Submit transaction form, let's say. Okay, let's paste the function name here. So document dot, so I want to refresh the form once I submit it, so I'll call it as document dot get element by ID. So the ID of the form is transaction form. So I want it to be reset. Okay, now it is saved. Let's refresh it. So if I submit it, it should not reload and it should reset. So it's not working as of now. Document dot get element ID. Did I miss any spelling or what? Document dot get element ID. Correct only, right? Okay, so document dot get element ID. Just copy paste this one. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's create a function to submit the form. Okay, let's remove this function. We don't need it anymore. So function, call it as submit. Instead of submit, I'll call it as process transaction form item. So item will pick up the items, each element or each event from the form. Okay, so it has to paste all the items in the transaction sheet, right? So this sheet, right? So what I will do, I'll declare transaction sheet this I will call it as transactions, and the sheet name would be transactions. Okay, so in the transactions I will append row, and it should be an array. So the first one should be the ID. Okay, so for now let's make the ID as 1, and the next one would be item dot timestamp. Okay, so we need the timestamp, but before that so this will be ID, this will be timestamp. So before that we'll have to add the timestamp. We'll have to declare it, so it will be new date, simple. Okay, so the next one is email. So we'll have to get the email of the user who submitted it. So let email equal to session dot get active user dot get email. One second, let me check it out. I keep on forgetting this one. Okay, get email. Okay, fine. So I think it is get email. So this will be email. So the next one is transaction date, item dot transaction date. So it should be the name, it should match the name of the ID, name of the each element. So the next one will be, so the next one is category. So category name actually. So in category and category type we'll have to do VLOOKUP and get the values. So what are the names of category? So this one we named it as, what did we name it? Okay, we did not name it actually. ID is category and name is also category. Okay, so this one will be category. Why is this popping up? It doesn't pop up when I need it. Funny. So okay, so again the third one is details. So this should be details. This one is currency and this one is amount, and the next one is invoice. Okay, so now what we have to do, so when we submit it, I'll have to call the function. Okay, so this is Google script dot run dot name of the function is transaction process transaction form item. Okay, let's try this one. So if I click on this one, it should add the values at the bottom of the row, but for some reason it is not able to trigger the function. Okay, the spelling is wrong. Oh god, it's a very silly mistake, right? Sometimes we make these mistakes. That's what I keep on forgetting these things. Yeah, this is the one I need. So let's simply copy this one, paste it here. Oh, okay, so I forgot the brackets here, so that is the issue. Okay, let's refresh it. So it should ask me for login again. No, fine, it's not asking. Okay, so I'll add the details. Still not working. Okay, you see that the data is added: ID, timestamp, email, transaction date, category. This should be here in column G, and one should be in currency, and 500 should be in amount. Okay, so do one thing, let's keep that. So what we have to do, so the first ID, timestamp, email, so till here it's good. So category should be in column G. So for that what we have to do, simply add 2 commas, so it will take 2 blanks and go to the category. Okay, so the next one is details. So it pastes the details here, and the next one is currency. Currency spelling is wrong. Okay, so it should paste the currency, and after amount we have to add 4 gaps. 1 2 3 4. Okay, let's try it again. So amount is 500, conversion is 75. This one I will add it as invoice, this one I will add it as details. So if I submit it, it should get added. Okay, now it's good, right? So in column G, category, details, currency did not pick up, so we'll check that. Amount is 500 and invoice. Okay, everything is good. So currency, maybe the ID of currency is wrong. Actually I did not declare what is currency. The ID I did not declare. So currency should be currency, ID will be currency, and name will also be currency. So what else is missing? That's all right. So let's delete this one. Let's delete this one as well. Let's refresh the form. Oh god. So let's pick the date, amount 500, conversion 75, invoice is invoice, and details is details. So when I submit it, so timestamp, email, transaction date, game development, details, currency is USD, amount is 500, and invoice, everything is good, right? Perfect. We just need to add VLOOKUPs here, so we'll do that shortly. Okay, so now we are able to add all the sheets. We are able to build the form, and we are able to add the details to the sheet when we submit the form, right? So now what I want to do, I would like to add VLOOKUPs and populate this data. Okay, so first we can do for category. So I'll do VLOOKUP with game development, column G, and go to categories, select 3 columns, and I will pick the third column. Got it? So we are searching for game development category from the category section, and from game development, so we are picking the column C. So whatever category is associated with category name, so in this case it's category name is game development, and expenses is the item associated with the category name, so it returns expenses, right? So I can simply drag it down and do Control D, so it picks up the VLOOKUP for the respective row, right? So it's easy to do. So instead of that, I would like to add a array formula. So the reason is, so now once you add a new data, for example, wait, I'll do it now. So for example, instead of game development, let me select something else, maybe sales, $5,000. Okay, so let's submit it. So a new row is added, but expenses, again you'll have to copy the formula to the to this cell manually. So I want to avoid that. So in order to do that, let's remove all the formulas. Just for the first one, let's keep the formula. So we will apply something called array formula. Okay, so here G2 to G, so we'll select the complete column. Okay, so what is the error? Array formula. Okay, wrong spelling again. Okay, you see that? So the formula is getting applied to the entire column. You see that? So till revenues it's fine, but the bottom is showing NA, so we don't want that. So instead of that, we want to apply the formula till the last row, not the blanks. Okay, so it's very easy to do. So we will add if condition, if G2 colon G, so we'll select the entire row, is equal to blank. We'll put it as blank, otherwise it will do VLOOKUP. So you can see now it is added till expense to the row 21, right? So let's do the same for the categories. So I'll just copy paste the array formula. So everything is the same except 3, it is 2, right? If I go to categories, so it has to pick up column B. Clear, right? Okay, so I have to pick up the current conversion value now. Oh, okay, till now we did not get the conversion values. Interesting. Currency, item, currency, amount. So why didn't the amount got picked up? Oh, okay. Till amount it was picked up. Currency value, oh god, we forgot to add one more currency value actually. So if I go back to the form, what is the name of currency value? It's conversion. I'm sorry, why I'm saying currency value, it's conversion value. So this will be item dot conversion. Okay, let's submit it again. One second, let me refresh it. Date, I think we don't need time actually. So this will be sales, submit it. Item dot conversion. Correct. So this is conversion. What happened? This is not working. One second, let me freeze the headers. Okay, let me refresh the form again. Okay, something went wrong. So YT. So this is ID, timestamp, email, transaction date, category, sales, currency 5000. Everything is looking good. Why is this one not working? Maybe I must be missing something. Conversion, did I add the spelling right? Okay, let's disable this one and see what happens. If I refresh the form, and submit it, no, it's not working. So what changes did I make? Okay, let me try again. Oh, okay, it is adding at the bottom. Oh god, sorry, my mistake. So it is working fine, but it was adding at the bottom. Okay, got it. So let me remove everything. Okay, I'll just keep the first row because we have formula in the first row. Okay, let's try it again. So if I submit it, right, okay, so we are getting all the details. So similarly, in amount INR, we'll have to multiply column J and column K. Okay, similarly, let's add an array formula. Okay, so this is good, right? So now in amount ABS, we'll have to pick the value. So it will be ABS of amount, and again similarly let's add the array formula. So this will be again J to J. and this one will be multiplication of these two values, conversion value and amount ABS. So again let's add the array formula. Okay, cool, right? So if I add one more entry, so it should add at the row 3. Cool, right? So everything is working fine. Okay, now let's fix the ID issue. So ID, it should be keep on adding to the previous number. So here it is 1, 2, 3, it should keep on adding, right? So for that we'll have to pick the ID first. So in the transaction sheet, so this is the transaction sheet, so we'll have to pick the first row, first column. So let transactions ID is equal to transactions dot get range of. So here like I said before, we need to pick the last row, last row of transaction sheet, so that it can pick the last number. Okay, so it should be one second. Okay, get cell Google script. Okay, get cell will give you the first row and first column if you add 1, but we want last row and column 1. So instead of 1, so here we would require transactions dot get last row comma column 1. Okay, let's test this one. So let's add a function test. So we'll console log transactions ID. So let's run the code, the function test. So we should get 1. Okay, not sure why it is asking again, but that's fine. It is throwing blank at last row. Okay, so we need to get the value, right? Okay, my mistake. So this is get range dot get cell dot get value, I guess. Yeah, get value. Okay, let's see now. If I run, yes, now it is picking 1. Okay, let's manually make it 2. So now let's run the function test. So it should give us 2. You see that? Okay, cool, right? So now it is working fine. So what I will do is, so just in case you accidentally deleted all the rows and you don't want to apply the formulas all the time. So we can actually script this formula to add the formulas into the sheet. Okay, so we just need to look at if it is the second row and add the values to the respective columns. Okay, even if it is completely blank, so the last row ID would be ID for the transaction. So till now it is adding numbers, so it should be ID. Okay, I will show you to what I mean. So here till now we are adding 1, right? So this will be transaction ID plus 1. Okay, so if I refresh the page, so let's all add the details. So instead of game development, let's add something new, refund. So okay, so I gave a refund of 250, 125 and details refund on sales. Okay, when I submit it, you see that the transaction ID is 3 now. Okay, so let me save the formulas first. So I don't want to apply them again. Okay, so I'll save the formulas for now. I want to delete all the rows and show it to you what if I remove the formulas and how to add the formulas in the script itself. Okay, so I'll delete all the rows now. Okay, so now again let's run the test. So it is picking ID because the last row is the row 1 and ID is ID, so we don't want that. So instead of that, what I will do is I will add a if condition. If transaction ID is equal to ID, I will make transaction as 0. Okay, let's run it again. Now you see that now it is 0. So when you submit the form, it will add 1 to transaction ID, which is 0 as of now, and it will make the transaction number as 1. So let's try that. So I'll submit it. Now you see that. Okay, let's remove this one. Now you see that instead of 1 it is picking as, instead of ID it is picking 1, as it has made 0 and added the number to 1. Okay, so we are missing on the formulas now. So I want the formulas to be added by the script if it is row 1. So let's delete this again. Oh god, 1 second. Okay, done. Okay, so here after the transactions dot append, so what I will do is, so I'll pick the transaction sheet, get range. So range would be E2. Okay, set value. So copy this formula. Okay, done. But I want to add these values only if the transaction, the row is 2. So for that we already added transaction ID as 0, right? Okay, we are making, okay, done. So the transaction is 0. Only then we'll have to run this code. Okay, let me add this one as well. So this is for F2. So the formula is this one. Similarly, copy the next one. So now the cell is M2. And the formula for it is okay. So similarly, let's copy and paste it one more time. So this time is N2. Okay, so let's refresh the form again. What happened again? The date picker. Okay, let me refresh it again. Okay, so amount I'll make it as $1,000 and conversion rate is 75. Details is details. So if I submit the form, okay, you see that. So we got the transaction date and everything. So even the formulas are pasted. Cool, right? Amount in INR. Okay, so here we forgot to add the formula. So this one will be okay. Let's do one thing. Simply let's copy N2. So this will be L1. So L1 into J and K. So J and K. J okay, and this one will be ABS of okay. So let's again delete this row. I'll add the negative values now. So instead of positive, I am adding negative values. Let's see. Okay, so the amount is minus because it is expenses. The amount in INR is minus 25,000, whereas amount in ABS should be 1,000. Oh, okay, my mistake. So this should be equal to J. And this one should be ABS of L. Okay, sorry for the confusion. Okay, let's again try. Okay, now I submitted. So amount is minus 1,000, conversion value is 75, INR is correct. So absolute value is 1,000, which is in positives now, and this one is in 75. Great. Okay, so I'm thinking in a different way now. So instead of adding minus here, let's keep positive. And what I will do is here I will take positive values, and what I will do, so I will check whether if E2 is equal to expenses. So this will be minus of j to j, or else it will be j to j. Amount P&L. So for profit and loss, this amount is for profit and loss calculation, and this amount is for again profit and loss calculation. So when we add the details here, let's add positive only. Negative sometimes people might forget. Again same thing, let's simply copy this formula. Okay, so if it is expenses, it will take it in a positive value. Okay, let's refresh the page again, and let me delete the row again. Let's remove this one. I don't want date time local. Let's keep only date. So transaction, ideally we don't add time, right? Transaction date. Okay, so this will be only date, and amount, let's keep the minimum number equal to 0. And let's do the same for conversion rate. So now we will not be able to add any negative values. Okay, so date, let pick some date. So we cannot add negative values now. So minimum is 0, and but we will be able to add what you say, decimals. So let's say it is, so invoice, maybe make it as invoice, details, or details, submit them. Okay, cool, right? So everything is working fine. Okay, so because these are expenses, it took negative values automatically. All right, so the form is done. The only issue here is the reset. I took a 1 hour break. I went for dinner, and I tried to fix this issue. I also compared with my old the actual web app I built. So I tried everything, but I'm not sure why it is not working. Maybe I'll need some more time to identify the issue, but I'm sure everything is properly placed, but not sure where is it missing. But anyways, so till here it's working fine, right? So now our next objective is to create the data studio. Okay, so let's go to data studio. Okay, so create a new blank report. So let's link Google Sheets. So financial statements YT, this one. Yes, I would like to link transactions. Okay, add to report. Okay, let's delete this one. So first I would like to add a chart, pie chart. Oh god. Okay, so pie chart, so the date range would be the transaction date and dimension would be category. Okay, based on profit and loss. So as of now we have only expenses. So let me add few more details. Let's add sales. For example, I have sales of $1,000, $10,000. So for details I'll write it as sales. Submit the form. Okay, fine. Let's name it as financial statements YT. Okay, so if I refresh the data, I should get revenues as well. You see that? So here in metric, let's remove report count. Let's add amount in INR. Okay, this is good, right? So if I go to style, I want the revenues and expenses on the top. So in legend I will make it as top. Okay, so let me add one more chart. So this is area chart. Okay, so here so we need to add few more items. So what I will do is just simply let me simply copy paste. One second, sorry. Okay, let me simply copy paste all the items from my previous page. So okay, I added all the details in my actual web app in negative values. Let me change that. Go to expenses. Okay, so these are only test values. All right. Fine, right? So if I refresh the data now, okay, so let's, instead of dates, let's make it into months. So I'll add a new field. I'll name the field as month. So formula would be month of timestamp, not timestamp, sorry, transaction date. Okay, save it. Done. So here now the metric would be Okay, dimension would be, instead of transaction date, it would be month. Okay, so if I go to style, I want to fix the interval based on range should be based on data. So it started from April, so ended at in October. So I want to have it in the fixed months instead of from starting to ending. Okay, we have different themes here. You can pick whichever theme you like. Okay, I would like to have this theme. Okay, so borders, I would like to add a border of 5 so that it looks good. Border radius of 5. So even for the area chart, let's do the same. Okay, cool, right? So this is done. So I will add a chart with pivot table. Okay, so here the first one will be the category revenues, good, and the second would be category type, and third one would be category name, and instead of column dimension, we don't want any column dimension, and amount would be instead of amount in INR, let's pick amount P&L in INR. Okay, so here instead of category, I will say profit or loss. So let's add grand total. Okay, we are in loss of so much amount, actually it's minus 12 lakhs. It's a huge amount. Anyways, this is only for testing purpose, right? Okay, so let's add a control which is nothing but a filter. I would like to add a date control. So I want to fix the date to this year. So apply, and in styling I'll remove the box shadow, and I'll add the border to 5. Okay, cool, right? So I'll add one more control. Oh, I'm sorry, not this one. I'll add one more control, drop down, so which is month. Same again, let's have a border radius of 5. Let's remove the box shadow, and let's add one more control, drop down. Okay, so this one will be category, yes. So again, same formatting, border radius is 5. Okay, so the first page is done. So let's view it. Okay, so this is the page, and you can see the revenues. If I hover on any item, so I can see revenues and expenses. So if I filter by month, so if I select June for example, I got only June data. You see that? Also I can pick based on categories. So let's if I pick by expenses, so it should show only expenses. You see that? Cool, right? Everything is working fine. Okay, let's quickly add page 2. So I'll add a page. So here let's quickly add pie chart. So this one I want revenue breakdown. So I will pick category type. So if I pick category type, we'll get everything. So here 1 second, metric should be amount in INR. Okay, here we should add a filter. So the filter would be category type, and it should include sales, and it should include services. So these are all related to revenues, and also it should include other income, right? So these are the items, right? 1 second, let me see. So in categories, sales, services, other income. Okay, we are not seeing the data because 1 second. So I'll call the filter as revenue. So not and we should add or. So that's the issue. Okay, so category type should be equal to services. So let's remove and again let's add one more or. So category type again should be equal to other income. Okay, let's save it. Okay, good, right? So again let's work on the formatting. Border radius should be 5. Okay, cool, right? So let's add one more chart. Okay, let's do one thing. I'll remove this one and just copy paste this one, and so in pie chart let's add expenses filter. So in expenses we cannot have if we exclude them. So in revenues we include them, so in expenses we exclude them. So and condition or condition doesn't work for expenses because we need to exclude all of these items. If you add or, so it will either exclude either of them. So we want all of them to be excluded, right? So category type would be equal to services. So let's remove services from above, and again let's exclude other income. Okay, done. Oh god, my mistake. Okay, so we'll have to add a new chart. I thought we can make it quick by shortcut. That didn't work out. Fine. Okay, so this one again will be based on category type. Metric will be amount in INR. Filter, let's apply a filter, add a filter. So create a filter, expenses. Okay, we should exclude category type equal to sales, and so exclude again category type equal to services, and again exclude category type equal to other income. Okay, done. Let's add one more pie chart. So this will be the last pie chart. So this one we'll add it based on currency. Again, styling should be legend will be on the top, border will be 5. Cool, right? So this is done. So I would like to add the control. So simply I would like to copy these items and go to the next page, which is page 2, and paste it here. Time saving. Okay, so I would like to add titles for each of the pie chart. So this one is revenues, okay, oh god, okay, let me add it from here. So this one is expenses. What is the spelling of expenses? Correct, right? Okay, so let's add one more text. So this one is currency Okay, so done, this is done. So let's add last chart, which is a table. So we'll list out all the items here. So the complete transactions, we're going to list it here. Okay, so the first one, so let's add everything. Transaction date, so instead of category type, let's add category name. One second. So this will be category, the second one will be category name, and third one, let's add details, and the next one will be amount. Okay, one second, amount, let's add it at the bottom. Here let's add currency and also invoice. So instead of transaction, let's call it as date. Okay, so instead of amount in INR, let's call it as in INR. Okay, so this one will be invoice number. Let's keep currency next to amount. Okay, cool, right? So done. So if you check in Google Data Studio, you can get the pages in this manner. Let's do one thing. Let's first name the pages. So this one, let's name it as profit or loss, and the second page, let's name it as transactions. Okay, now it is done. What we have to do is just simply first refresh the data. Now in share, click on embedded report, so enable embedding. Now copy this one, go back to your dashboard now. So in index, instead of dashboard is coming. Okay, let's refresh the page again. Go to dashboard. Okay, now you are able to see the data studio, right? So now what we have to do is width, let's make it 100%, and height let's make it 100%. Okay, so let's refresh it. What happened to height? Okay, I think I understood. So div, let's make a class width of 100 full and height of screen. I think now this should fix the issue. Okay. Right, let's make full. Oh god. Okay, 1 second. So height, let's do one thing, let's make it 900. Okay, so we are getting page 2 directly. So I want to go to page 1. Okay, you see that? So we get all the expenses and everything. So the first page is the P&L account. So if I go to the next page, it is the transactions. Cool, right? So everything is fine. I didn't like the scroll bar on the right hand side because Data Studio is already providing that. Okay, let me quickly check what I did in the actual app. 1 second. So if I go to index, okay, so I'm sorry. Okay, so I did not wrap it up. Okay, fine. So height is 100%. So did I add anything else? Let me quickly check it. Frame border 0, so everything is fine. Let me see now. Achha, I added this one in the body. Okay, let me copy this one, paste it here. Okay, cool, right? Yeah, this is what I want. Page 1, page 2. Okay, done. Alright, so I'll provide the web page and everything in the link. Oh, one second. So now we'll have to deploy the web app to final build to the production. So once we deploy it, we'll have to rename, change the short links. So if I go to brandly.i.ly, so let's log in. Okay, so this is home page. Let's edit this one. So we were replacing the development version with the production version. Same with the add page, question mark page equal to add. Save it. Okay, that's it, done. So first I'm getting the page 2 directly. I want to get the page 1. Why am I getting page 2? Oh god, not this one. One second. Okay, anyways. Alright, so we are getting the graphs and everything. Cool, right? So everything is working fine. So if I click on add, it will take me to the form page. So where I can select, add the details, and if I submit it, it should add the values. Okay, fine. Cool, right? All right, so that's all for this video. So I'll add the links in the description. You can test out the web app by yourself, and if you need the source code, let me know. I'll provide you my contact link, so you can email me or join my Discord server, and even there you can message me, so I can give you the source code. Okay, so all you have to do is you'll just need to replace the sheet here, and if you add currencies, transaction and everything as per the video, then it's done. You just need to replace the sheet. Okay, so as for the reset, I will once again test it. I'm not sure where it went wrong. I'll soon give you the fix in the comments. Okay then, so we'll meet in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and share this video to your fellow developers. So I hope this is helpful to you. Okay then, see you in the next video. Until then, you take care. Bye bye.